In our workplace bullying video, part 1, we went through a list of a bunch of examples of what can be considered workplace bullying. Before we go into what you can do if you're being bullied at work, I do want to mention a few things that wouldn't be considered bullying. You want to make sure if you're going to bring anything to the next level or talk to somebody about bullying that you do really have a good idea of what is considered bullying and what might not be considered bullying. Okay, so here are a few things that may not be considered bullying. So if you just have a difference of opinion with people, that's not considered bullying. That's just people not agreeing on something. As long as you're not being belittled for your opinion or harassed or made fun of because of your opinion, then just having a difference of opinion or somebody not agreeing with you would not be considered bullying. Number 2, if somebody changes your roles or responsibilities but has given you a fair explanation as to why that had to happen, that may not be considered bullying. Sometimes roles do have to change or responsibilities are changed. As long as your manager or leader or the company itself has given you a valid reason, then it may not be looked at as bullying. Being offered some constructive criticism or feedback about performance or your own behaviors or work ethic, that would not be considered bullying. It is your manager or leader's job to sit you down and to give you feedback when needed. Hopefully, they're also giving you positive feedback. But if they're critiquing your work or your performance in any way, that is not considered bullying. Unless they are using intimidating languages, they're being threatening, belittling you in any way, that would not be considered bullying. If a manager or leader needs to make a change to a timeline or deadline, if they have to change the scope of a project, that's their job. They're managing. That is not the same thing as bullying. Sometimes changes have to happen. Okay, here's what you can do if you're being bullied. And trust me, I do know how difficult this can be. If you are working in a small family business, that can be a real game changer, because if your human resources person is the brother to your manager, that is not going to feel very safe for you to go to the HR person and talk about their brother who you feel is harassed. So if you're in a small family business and you're feeling like you're being bullied or harassed, unless you have legal ramifications or you want to take it above them and outside of the company, it's going to be much harder for you to manage. I wish this wasn't the case, but it's really, really tough. And I have seen this in small family run businesses. Everybody's related. So unless you have a safe person in that workspace that you can trust and go to and be able to say, listen, I want to talk to you in confidence about something I'm going through, and you feel like they will hear you out, you may have to go outside of the organization if you don't have this trusting person. So I feel for you if that's the situation. If you're in a bigger company and it's not family owned and operated, this becomes really easy if your company has a policy in place around bullying or harassment, or if your team has set expectations as a team for bullying and harassment, then you can simply say, listen, remember, part of our value system, or what we've all agreed to here at work, is that we don't make jokes at somebody else's expense. So when you talk to me like that, it just doesn't make me feel good. And I would really appreciate if that were to stop. If you've got a safe work culture and somebody makes a mistake, or maybe it's not a mistake, but they do it, you have a better chance when a company has these values in place to be able to stand up and advocate for yourself. And because it's a company-wide policy and it's a value system, then chances are they will back down if you bring it to their attention. I always recommend, if you're able to, it always works better if you can say, I would really appreciate if you don't do this, whatever that is in the blank, anymore. It makes me uncomfortable, or it makes me feel really intimidated, or it makes me feel like I'm excluded from the rest of you. You could go to a safe person, a colleague or another manager, and say, I want to address so-and-so on my team because they've been belittling me and making fun of me in front of the rest of the team for a while. And I want a witness. I want somebody with me when I do that. You don't have to get involved. I just want you there when I address the issue. If you didn't feel comfortable to ask the person directly to stop, you shouldn't have to feel intimidated by having to advocate for yourself, you can go to somebody else and say, I need you to advocate on my behalf. You can go to a union rep, you can go to a supervisor, an HR representative, whatever you need to do, you go to somebody and say, I need help with this issue. I am feeling bullied. It's not okay that this is happening and I need somebody to help me. You can keep a really detailed log with dates and times of when things happen and do them immediately, write them down or screenshot text messages, keep your emails and print them, create this binder or a log of what is happening, because you're building a case against this harassment. If you've asked for help and nobody's helping you, then you need to keep a record of all of these things so that you've got proof and facts on what is happening to you at work. If you report what is happening to you to the person you are supposed to report it to first, so whether it is your manager or it's HR, if you've done that first step, your direct manager first, and it is either dismissed or minimized, go to the next level. Don't skip a level if you don't have to, because it's the right protocol and it keeps a lot of things from creating a bigger mess if we go too far ahead too fast. Follow the right path if you can, if it's possible to. If there's a reason you can't, everything has an exception, but if you can, go to who you're supposed to first. If it gets minimized or dismissed, go to the next one. Don't let this behavior continue without you doing everything that you can to stop it. My recommendation is always start with the person doing it or the group and saying, I really need you to stop doing this. It's bothering me or it's making me uncomfortable. I need it to stop, or whatever you have to say. If it doesn't stop, then you go to who you're supposed to directly report any bad behaviors or anything that's going on at work to. You go there next. That doesn't work, go to the next level. Keep a log, keep letters, keep copies of texts and emails always. Please do not retaliate. If you retaliate or you receive a message and it's nasty and you respond with a nasty message, when this comes to the surface or when it's been reported, you're going to create a confusing situation. They're going to read the first letter, but then they're going to read yours and they're going to think, there's more to this than what I know. That person's acting just as bad as this one. How do we know that they didn't start it in the first place? And then this is just a separate email or it's retaliation to what they did before. If you stay consistently appropriate, respectful, calm, yes, you can ask people to stop and you should ask them to stop, but that's not in an aggressive manner. It is just you advocating for yourself. If you continue being respectful and calm and peaceful and you're not causing any conflicts, then by the time this comes to the surface and people are investigating it, you're the one with the consistent pattern of being respectful and kind. It's not confusing. This person has always been respectful and kind. Look at their answers in these emails. Look at how they responded in this situation. They asked the people to stop. They didn't stop. And now we're at this point. And you've got all of this evidence and reports and a detailed log of all of the events. Then it becomes very black and white of what is right and what is wrong.